Time for another big day of racing over at Gulfstream Park. Saturday is Pegasus Preview Day. Big stakes all throughout the card, and we're about a month away from Pegasus World Cup Day. So a lot of horses you see running this Saturday at Gulfstream will run back in about a month for the big day there. I am Gino alongside my good friend Barry Spears, the sniper. Barry, buddy, it's just about that time now of the year. Things are starting to get really, really good. I mean, we have this great Gulfstream Park card to talk about. The card that you and I discussed last week from Turfway that actually got postponed. That's going to be run on Sunday. There's still some really good horses that are going to be running Sunday. Fairgrounds has a very nice card also on Saturday with some stakes races. Kentucky Derby points are up for grabs there, and we're getting closer. You and I record on Thursday. Friday, they're going to draw the races for Santa Anita opening day for, I believe, the first 3 days of the meet. They're going to draw all of those, I think, on Friday. So, man, it's Christmas time coming soon, but it's a fun time in the world of racing as well.
Oh yeah, after the Breeders' Cup, there's like that little lull, and then you get into the full, 2-year-olds turning into 3-year-olds, and then everything gets back exciting for the Derby and all that stuff. But this is just the beginning. Like right now, it's about to on the verge. I was actually wondering. I think the card right for Turfway stayed intact, and,
Yep.
did they change anything? I mean, our
No.
other show is probably still
I mean,
valid then.
yeah, I was gonna repost it. There'll be a few horses that already ran or run in different spots, but you'll get that same information talking about those horses. It's just a week back, so I'm gonna post that again on Friday, and hopefully we can help you out at Gulfstream, and then help lead you to some winners which are on Sunday at Turfway. So don't forget, anytime you're playing Gulfstream all throughout the meet, past performances, DRF picks, clocker reports every racing day. Gulfstream and Santa Anita, you'll get the clocker reports every racing day. So that's great if you're someone who's looking at those races every day. If you're a contest player, some really fun contests coming up. Every Gulfstream day, there's a $100 feeder to try to get you qualified. It's basically step one to try to get into the PWCBC. You can qualify for $100, and then every Saturday now moving forward, they'll have one of these $1,000 qualifiers because it's a $6,000 contest, the PWCBC. So you can actually get into it for just $100 if you play on Friday and then make it into the Saturday contest. Then you can make it from there, and you'll have a spot in the PWCBC next month. So if you're a contest player, try to get in there for just $100. And then don't forget about DRF Newbie, Horse Racing Simplified, newbie.drf.com. You want to check that out on your mobile device. Share it around with all your friends that are new to horse racing. Maybe the DRF past performances are a little too much, a little too overwhelming. This will make things a little easier for people to learn. Then they can take that next step into these past performances over at Gulfstream Park, the all-access PPs. Barry, we'll start and take a peek at a couple of the stakes races early on the cards, and we're going to run through races 5 through 11, starting with the Janus here, 5 furlong turf sprint. Got to start with one of our old buddies, Coppola, right here, the 5. He can flat fly. He loves it at Gulfstream Park, and he's coming up on $1 million in earnings, and you just know what this guy is. He's a turf sprinter who goes fast early. If he has to go too fast or sometimes too far, he doesn't really have as much finish. But this trip, 5 furlongs at Gulfstream Park, is basically his favorite trip.
Oh, absolutely. But I have to say, he hasn't been the same horse this year.
No, and you're getting, it's
2025.
the end of his 6-year-old season, right, for a horse who's really fast. And we know that every time he goes out on the track, he's leaving it all out there, right? He's laying it down. So those races take a lot out of him, and you wonder when he's now going to be a 7-year-old soon, does he just have that same oomph?
Kind of doesn't. I mean, I'm going to say the jury's out on this one.
Yeah.
Because his win in the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint back in January on Pegasus Day, I believe, that was a pretty good race. And we didn't really see him do anything until he ended up at on, I believe it was the day before the Indiana Derby.
Yeah, and
And there was a distinct bias on that turf course all weekend. I mean, you couldn't pass. So if you just think about it, he had that one win, really didn't come close, got a bias aided win in Indianapolis. I just really think he's such a play against in this spot.
Especially at a really, really short price. He has some speed right next door. Boats a Rockin' is pretty quick. He's not as fast as Coppola, but he's not slow, and he will probably be keeping him company. There's also a horse named Full Disclosure who has a little bit of speed. He showed it last time out. I think there's a couple in here that can at least make life kind of difficult to the outside when I get to heaven. This horse has a little bit of speed. So there are speed horses on both sides of him that could just make life a little difficult. And there are a couple other really nice horses. Reef Runner, he won back-to-back. I say won. He was DQ'd from the Green Flash in a very not a great DQ. It was a tough one to swallow. And he crossed the wire first there. He came back in the Eddie D at 6.5 at Santa Anita and won that one. And then he was fourth in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint in a race where there was no passing. When She's So Spicy just went gate to wire that day. I mean, his form is really good. He's also good at Gulfstream Park. The horse right next door to him, Barry 2, Litigation. I mean, look at his recent form. He's been very, very good. He can sit off the pace a little bit and finish. So those two horses to me are kind of the opposite of what we were just saying with Coppola. They're more of the now up and coming horses.
Yeah, I mean, Reef Runner definitely is going to be a formidable foe here. A little bit wide, might be a little bit of concern because of the trip that they may get. They're probably going to have to swing around a lot of this speed, which might not be ideal, or they're going to be out wide the whole way around. A horse like Spiced Up really
I was going to
intrigues
ask
me
about him too, yeah.
because of the fact that they didn't get the best of trips in that October 19th race. Going back to the inside, I think the post position relief will make all the difference for Spiced Up. They should get a great trip in here.
Put a line right through the race on September the 6th at Kentucky Downs.
Yeah.
Horse was actually favored. Was actually favored in that race over Troubleshooting, who came back to win again out of that one. So if you just eliminate that September 6th race, the form looks really solid. That Mahoney win was good, really was moving in the right direction. I completely agree with you. I had this race as the 5 as an under to try to beat. And we normally like Coppola quite a bit. And the 3 that we mentioned were the 3 horses that I would maybe use in multi-race exotics, the 3, 7, and 8. Litigation's interesting to me too, just because obviously he's in really nice form. He seems like he can sit pretty close. He's now going to go third start of his form cycle. I like the fact that he's won races at Ellis Park. He's run well at Keeneland on the turf course there, and he won at Churchill on the turf course. So we've seen him fire all over the place. He just makes a whole lot of sense to me. So yeah, we see this race.
I would think Reef Runner, though, would probably be favored in this spot.
I think he deserves to be. I completely agree with you. He deserves to be, because I played against Reef Runner in the Green Flash. Green Flash, I had him. It was the Eddie D, when I thought he was a 5 furlong horse. And then when he was coming down the hill in the Eddie D, I thought a lot of the times those 5 furlong turf horses do not run well going 6.5 down the hill. Those are just way different. When he won that race, he really showed me that this is a nice horse. He is in very good form, because that was beyond where he's even at his best. And he showed up with his career best buyer speed figure going 6.5 furlongs, because he's just in great form. Came right back and ran well again when he cut back to 5 at Del Mar in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. So I just think he's in good form right now. He proved he's one of the top turf sprinters with those last 3 races. That's a really nice body of work for him. It is.
I mean, he's definitely going to attract a lot of attention, but the fact that he's kind of a closer in a race that, I don't know how good of a trip he's going to be able to get.
Yeah. So could maybe the 3 and 7, the other horses we're talking about, who can get a little more of a jump on him, maybe they offer us a little bit more value. Look, Spiced Up doesn't have to be as far back as he was in those last 2. We're going through it. He can sit a little closer. Look at that race at Belmont and Aqueduct when he breaks his maiden. He's sitting really close, and they were going very fast that day. I think you can place him in different spots. He can be down towards the inside, save some ground. Same thing with the 7 Litigation, can sit pretty close. It's race number 5, kicking off the stakes action on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Let's move to race number 6, Barry. This one is the Sugar Swirl. 6 furlongs on the dirt for the fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. A couple horses in the middle of the field are going to take a lot of money in here. You've got the 5 and the 6. The 5, Nick Style, is a very nice 5-year-old mare. She's a Florida bred. You can just look at her overall body of work. She's 7 for 9 with the second. She finished 4th last time out. That was in the Pumpkin Pie. She did lose to a pretty nice horse in there named Weigh the Risks, who is in good form right now. Weigh the Risks has won 3 in a row by open lengths, just won by 9+ with 103 buyer speed figure. So, everybody's been losing to Weigh the Risks recently. And that was just the first start back, off of a layoff from March to November. So you can understand that Nick Style may take a step forward, loves Gulfstream Park, plenty of reasons why she'll take money. And then Mystic Lake for Safi, she's just a very honest filly. And she won this race last year. Then she won the Inside Information on Pegasus World Cup undercard. Following that, she tried Grade 1 Company in back-to-back races. And then after the Derby City Distaff, Safi just said, I'm going to put her in softer spots where I think she's going to be favored in a lot of them. And look, she wins 4 in a row. And he does that. And he's picking up 100,000, 250. So she's super logical. Obviously, she's really quick. She likes Gulfstream. I mean, those are the two. They're 8-5 and 9-5 on the morning line. Do you like one more than the other? Do you agree they're both going to be tough? Or you want to chuck them both? How do you look at it?
I'm a little cold on Nick Style. I think
I might be too. Yeah.
She was a little bit dressed up last year in the beginning part of this year. I mean, got excellent trips every time. Now, you can say, take the opposite lens of this and say that, well, she makes her own trip, which is partly true. But if you look through who she's been beating, I just can't think that she would actually could hang tough with a horse like Mystic Lake. I think Mystic Lake, class-wise, towers over Nick Style. I mean, obviously they're both going to get bet.
It's kind of one of those races where you feel like you got to pick one or the two, though, right?
Right.
Like you kind of feel like you don't want to double up with two, however you're playing the race. If you're playing pick 3s or pick 4s or multis, you don't like doubling up in a race where you're going to be having the two really short prices. If you double up, you want to pick one of these and use someone else. That's going to be a bigger price. So I think that's kind of the decision you have to make as a gambler, is which one of these two do you like more? And generally, I'm going to side with the horse who's a little bit faster overall. I think that's Mystic Lake. Yeah, it's just going to get the jump on Nick Style. And I agree with you. Nick Style's been fine. She's been solid, and I think her overall body of work just might look a little bit better than she is. We haven't really seen her compete at the top levels, and I'm not saying this is the top level, but she is facing a very nice horse right next door in Mystic Lake, and I think I prefer Mystic Lake of the two. Seems like you do.
And there's scenarios where those two kind of go at it, and a horse like the one, Our Morning Brew, could pick up the pieces, who is kind of like the horse on the rise. I think this horse has turned the corner a little bit. Getting Lasix obviously helped. I mean, you saw previously back in September 2024 that this horse had these kind of races in her, just didn't put it together, and it looks like this horse did, albeit, this is on the class rise, but this race in particular didn't come up all that strong behind the two favorites. So this horse could actually be in contention, kind of waiting in the wings if the top two kind of stub their toes.
Third start off the bench for Our Morning Brew. 1 and 3 are that next tier of horses. Miss Buchero beat her last time out. Miss Buchero just got to the lead last time out. So again, like you're kind of pointing out, what if Miss Buchero is pushing it with Mystic Lake and Nick Style got caught a little too far back last time out and wants to stay close? All of a sudden, those three are going at it. If the one can kind of sit back a little bit from the rail, could get a nice setup in here. third start off the bench. And if she is a fair price in that 5-ish to 1 range, or maybe even above, sometimes in races like this, the 2 favorites get hit hard and then everybody else is even higher, right? And I could see that happening here if both of them take money. So maybe you're looking at including the 1 Our Morning Brew in some of your exotics. Barry and I both kind of lean more towards Mystic Lake than Nick Style of the 2 short prices in here. They both look like they'll take a lot of money and be tough. Any other thoughts to mention on this one, Barry?
No, I think the top 4 should dominate this race. One of those 4 should win.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in a pick 5, pick 4, pick whatever situation, I wouldn't use all 4. I would tend to toss Nick Style on most tickets and try it with the other 3.
Let's continue along. Race number 7 begins the late pick 5. When I think about Gulfstream Park and this time of the year from, early December all the way through, late March, early April, these are the types of races that I think about. Like a maiden special weight race like this, going a mile and a 16th on the turf. You've got a 2-year-old. There's a group of 2-year-olds that'll be turning 3 soon. Big field. And honestly, you can go through this group and have some solid angles and points on so many of these horses. Towards the outside, you'll probably see a lot of money for the 11, Boss Henry. It's Chad Brown. It's Flavian Pratt. It's a horse coming off of a pretty good third in a maiden special weight over at Aqueduct. Epic Dioro is a first-time starter on the outside. The Dam Never Turfed, but was 2 for 4, was a stakes winner, was graded stakes placed. And this horse has shown some talent in the mornings. And if you look at Epic Dioro and see so this is the Dam. Look who she is a full sibling to. Rachel Alexandra. So she's going to take some money off of this pedigree. This is a nice pedigree, obviously. And it's not even just Rachel. If you look, there's Dolphus, who is a solid horse. Who you have Gladys, who won a couple times on the grass. Wooderson was also another very solid horse. So this is a nice Dam who dropped some very, very nice horses. And now you get Epic Dioro. I mean, it's not ever easy in post 12 trying to go long on the turf first time out of the box, but you've got 7 siblings here, 6 winners, just 1 turf winner, but only 3 of them tried the grass, and 2 of them only made 1 turf start. When you see the Rachel lineup, well, okay, a full sib to Rachel Alexandra. Sure, that'll probably get a little bit of support. The 10 comes out of decent races too. This horse's overall form is not bad, but just kind of drawn towards the outside. 2 others that I want to mention, both the 3 and the 7, I think are just live looking horses. If you're trying to bet horses in this field, they both just look very interesting, moving in the right direction. Who's on your radar in here, Barry?
Well, typically in races like this, on the turf, going long, with younger 2-year-olds, I like to have horses I tend to select horses that have run already.
Yep.
It's really tough. It's very difficult to get a horse to go a mile on the turf first time out, especially in this kind of race. But one that I want to mention is the 9, CJ Star.
Sure.
The Dam, do you remember, was second in a Group 1 at First Asking, which is notable. I mean, albeit it was in South Africa, but still, they felt well enough with that horse's talent to put them in that race and then run second. Also, this horse is a full sister to a horse named Burning Ambition, who's never out of the money in 7 starts on the turf, banked $314K. So there's pedigree here. Uncle Mo's tend to not run a whole lot. The adage is they have soft feet and they have foot issues, but the ones that you can think of, when they run. And I think Mark Casse might have a decent, talented animal here. If you look at the workouts, they're pretty fast. I'm not really sure what kind of tactics they're going to employ, but I think this horse might be live at a decent number.
And you were talking about how it's not easy to go long on the turf first time out of the box. I completely agree with you. I very rarely, I'm always looking at the numbers too, and that's why I will lean away from horses like this. But look at
Cassie's not bad.
So look
He's
at his
pretty good.
last. This is the last 5 years with horses going long on the turf, first time starters. 13 for 97. So 13% with a positive ROI, 291, because most of the horses are paying like this price, about $20 or above. So when he's winning, because they're not getting bet a lot first time out of the box going long on the turf, they're usually 8, 10, 12 to 1, you know, right? They're like in that range, and that's what they're paying. So if there is a barn that is capable of getting horses ready first time out of the box, this is certainly one of them that can do that.
Yeah,
10 to 1. See, we're right in that range.
absolutely. Yeah, and the other
Um,
one that caught my eye is the one right next to the 9, the 8 Relevance.
yep.
It's a half to get her number, who was second in the Cigar Mile. That was a pretty nice run that first time on the grass, and I think they can improve off that. Chad Summers has a barn full of runners, and this one seems to be okay. I like that first run. Wasn't the best of trips. I think that
No,
horse can improve.
he was inside. He was eighth. He was about 6 lengths off. He moved up to sixth. He moved in between horses. He was all the way up to third. But he kind of got caught in a tight spot, and that actually cost him third. Like, he absolutely would have finished third in that race. I don't think he would have gotten better than that, but it was a really nice effort. First time on the turf, first time going long for Relevance. I agree with you. He's a player in here. A couple that I want to take a look at. The number 3, Lemon's Law. So the debut was solid. I mean, he was only beat a length and 3/4, finishing sixth. This horse has been down on the inside in both of his races. So that last start, he was fourth. He was just behind the leaders. He wasn't even 2 lengths off, and he was in a tight spot. He tried to move in between horses. He got shut off. He angles around to the fourth path. He comes up to challenge, but he lost to a horse that got through the rail. So he had to wait, and then go outside. And then after he moved outside, a horse got through on the inside, and that was the horse that ended up beating him. So he was pretty unlucky that day. I think he's going to fire. He's a half to the Gotham winner, Raise Kane, who was a grade 3 winner also. So Lemon's Law is one to mention. You've got Protect and Defend, who I'm not quite as high on, but just from a pedigree standpoint, the Dam was a winner on the turf, and he's a Sib 2 limited liability, who's just been a solid graded stakes caliber horse going long on the turf for a while. He's generally in the marathon turf races. So pedigree wise, he's good. I mean, Comprehensive's Dam one going long on the turf. This horse is a half to Scipio, who's a 2-time turf winner, stakes winner, multiple graded stakes placed. We've got the Minotaur, whose Dam won long on turf. Head of a bull, body of a man. That's the Minotaur there. So, but 0 for 20 with firsters going long on the turf for the Danny Gargan barn. One that I am using all over, Barry, is Hominoptera, who, again, I like some of the names in here. That was the
From the
Mummy,
Mummy.
City of the Dead, Hominoptera.
Minotaur was role models.
Yeah, there we go. Couple good ones. Hominoptera, Blinks Come On. And that debut was very good. Inside, wanted to go, got steadied, settled third, but still a bit rank early. Nowhere to go, got some room mid-stretch, came closing, just missed. Excellent debut. And the way that he ran, kind of green, looked like a horse that the blinkers could really help. Get him to focus, maybe go a little more early, or just show a little bit more like mental maturity there in his second
The
start.
rider was interesting on this horse too.
Yeah.
He doesn't really ride for Maker very much. I thought that was interesting because of the fact of where everybody else landed. Like even Johnny V landing on the Cassie horse instead of Epic Dioro was also interesting. No Pratt there. He ends up on the 11.
Yeah.
Who has a shot, obviously, but is a dead closer.
And they're way out wide. The 12, who, like I said, looked at the pedigree, but that's a tough post. This is an interesting race. I mean, you can go through and make little cases for a lot of these horses. Barry starts with the 9, talking about CJ Star. And then who else would you definitely want to be using in here, Barry? Like, who of the others that we talked about? The 8. You mentioned the 8, Relevance.
Yeah,
right?
definitely
those
Relevance. and Hymenoptera, obviously, I kind of think Hymenoptera is going to get bet quite a bit here.
I agree, though.
Um,
I wouldn't be shocked if this horse is 7-2.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really going to be an overwhelming favorite.
Me neither.
Nobody's going to be under 2-1. I mean, even then, I think 5-2 might be the favorite in
Yeah,
the spot, and it
I
might
agree.
be the 7. So we'll see.
Hymenoptera, I'm on the 3 Lemons Law as well. So 3-7, quite a bit for me. Barry starts with 8-9, moves to the 7. I mean, we respect the horses to the outside, but what kind of trips will they get? What kind of prices will they be? It is a fun 2-year-old maiden special weight race going long on the turf to kick off your late pick 5 there at Gulfstream on Saturday. Let's move to the 8th race. I thought this is another kind of tricky race because it doesn't seem like there's any monsters in here. You've got an optional 25. It's a first level allowance for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And you've got a horse like the 3, Lynn's Milky Way, who's been facing a little bit tougher company than this if you're just looking at the speed figures overall, but a horse who's not really one that wants to come from that far out of it and pass. I think her win's been pretty good trips where she's kind of sitting right there. You've got Airdrie Hill, who's been very good in both of her races. I mean, that was extremely impressive coming off a layoff from June of 2024 to November of 2025, and she won nicely that day. But she'll have to go a little bit farther, and she'll be facing open company, and both of her races have been against Florida breds. The 5 wouldn't be a shock, but we'll have to move from turf back to the dirt. So we have some question marks there. Towards the outside, thought even the 8 and the 9, the 8's in pretty good form. That's 4 straight races in a row, like really nice efforts. You've got Militia, who was a winner last time at Gulfstream, but will step up. I had a harder time in this race having a really strong opinion. I thought there was a 4 or 5 horses in the mix for me. What about for you? How do you see this thing?
I totally took the opposite.
Okay, so you got a strong opinion. Who do you like?
Yeah, I really like Lynn's Milky Way.
Awesome.
But
Okay.
I thought, Airdrie Hill and Lynn's Milky Way will dominate this race. I would give maybe an outside shot to the 9 Militia just because of the trip they may get. But as far as speed figures, numbers, the whole 9, the 3 and the 4 are standouts.
The 9 was the horse for me of the one that I'm going to give a shot to. I respect both the 2 that you mentioned. I'm going to give Militia a look. Mainly, like you were saying, with the draw, I think the type of trip that she could sit. Her speed figures were a little bit light. I do like the fact that she stepped up last time out, and she is moving in the right direction. She's proven at Gulfstream. She knows this distance, eliminate the grass race, and then all of a sudden the overall body of work looks pretty good, and she's won 3 of her last 4. So I respect her out there. But yeah,
I tried to make a case for the 2, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
Anytime this horse was at this level, they just underperformed.
Overmatched.
Yeah. And just doesn't look like the type that could win this race unless it just falls into their lap. Let's say, Lynn's Milky Way and Airdrie Hill just duel themselves into submission. Then a horse like the 2 could probably pick them up, and maybe the 9. But it's really hard to get around the 2 favorites here.
The cutback for Lynn's Milky Way should help a little bit. I guess the question I had was with the 5, you look at the dirt races to start, they were both on sloppy racetracks, ran well there. The fast dirt races at Saratoga, where she showed a little more speed. And in her recent form, she's been coming from way out of it. I'm kind of curious what tactics they choose here with her, and we'll kind of see what kind of trip she gets. This was the race of all of them that I had the least strong opinion. I couldn't get the pulse for this race quite as well. So hopefully some of you out there have a little stronger opinion. Barry does feel like the chalk courses are going to be pretty tough. Lynn's Milky Way starting with, and Airdrie Hill. We both do give the 9 a look. Militia, that was where I started. I'll probably use a few extra in here just because I didn't love as much, and I think I can shorten up, or just I have stronger opinions in a few of these others. Even coming up here in race number 9, which is the Swanee River Mile on the turf, fillies and mares here. Barry, just from a top contender starting standpoint, the 2 moving on up. She got really good last year, and then she had a couple unlucky trips, but still pretty much fired in each of her races from 2024, like middle of 2024 on. Basically always showed up until that last race at Kentucky, where I think we can just put a line right through it. And the race came back very strong, where Special Juan, who won, came back to win the grade 3 Goldakova next out with the 95 buyer. Third place finisher in our time, came back to win next time out, and then ran second in the Franklin, and then ran second in the Matriarch. So just continued that good form on. So looking at moving on up, I think probably one of the horses that you start with, but a lot of others in here that you could use. Creval d'Oro is another horse who has not been in the worst of form recently. You just have to go 2 starts back to a victory. I like the 5 Aussie Girl. I'll talk a little bit more about her in a minute. Sorona was a stakes placed filly, a mare 2 starts back. I don't think you have to go too far to make a case for her. Pratt is aboard, public defender, who comes into the Saffie barn for the first time. Look at the 2 races that Feather Boa has in the U.S. I mean, they're both fine races. The outside 2 look a little bit like long shots here. Who are some of the horses you want to talk about in this spot, Barry?
I thought the 7 Sorona was really, really interesting here.
Yeah.
You see that race back in July of 2024 where they lost to Porta Fortuna, who would obviously be odds on here by a long margin. That race in particular, they finished 5th. It wasn't a bad race at all. Just didn't get an ideal trip. You see they were carrying 135 pounds as well.
But and what it does is when you see a horse, I did the same exact thing that you did. When you see that back in the past performances, you just pay more attention to like what happens afterwards, right?
After
you start going like race by race, and you're like, oh, that's a pretty nice effort. Oh, that's not a bad effort, or oh, that's not a bad effort. And you're going through a lot of these races that are pretty good, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean the horse is a little bit wind challenged. Likes to finish second a little bit. But I can make excuses for the 2 American races. I mean, the way they were out wide and didn't get a great trip at all. And at the Laurel race, they were stuck on the inside and kind of, not locked in, but they really didn't get a chance to get out. And the horse did get the lead and then got nosed. I mean, really just lost the bob more than it was the horse kind of fading. They just were unlucky in both of those races. And the fact that they improved in the second one, kind of gives me more confidence that there's more improvement in there. With a better trip, they may be able to get it done at a decent price. This race is ripe for that sort of thing. I know the 2 really looks good. But there's enough speed in here to make it fair for everybody, and it's just about the trip, honestly.
Yep. I have the 7 pick third. I will be using her in all of my multi exotics. I'm right there with you on Sorona. I like the 5, a little Aussie Girl. She looks really good. Like, I mean, you look at her form before the US, she was in nice form in Ireland before coming over. And then she comes in, she's a little slow in the Kentucky Downs, and she's behind AG Bullet there. She comes back in her next start. She wins at Keeneland in October of 2024. She beats a horse named Saffron Moon, who we've since seen come back and is a multiple graded stakes winner now. So that race is even better after she beats a horse who's come back and become a multiple graded stakes winner. Following that, she runs at Del Mar in the Matriarch. This was a loaded field where she's behind Sacred Wish, Gina Romantica, AG Bullet, Tax Implications, horses like Mafi and Nadet were in good form. Even Aspen Grove was. That was just a field that was really, really tough. She was 16-1 that day. I'm not going to hold that against her at all, against that grade 1 group. She gets a little bit of class relief. She's on the dirt in the next start. She faces Weigh the Risk, and we just talked earlier about Weigh the Risk and the form she's in. They tried the dirt, just put a line right through it, comes back to the grass last time out, just sits a really nice trip. I think it all makes sense. And she got challenged by the 4-5 favorite, and she was able to hold off Tax Implications, who we just pointed out earlier on. She just looks pretty good on paper here.
Yeah, absolutely. And horses like this at that price, at 4-1, if you can get 4-1 on a horse like this that's very consistent, they're usually really good bets because you know what they're going to do. They show up. And this horse seems to be that type. I mean, the only real race that they didn't show up in was the one that was on the dirt, where they probably had no business being in there anyway.
Yep. On paper, just looks really good. All the races make sense. You can talk your way through a lot of them. The You have the 6, who's kind of a pace factor. She's looking for 4 in a row. We'll see how good she is right now. She's kind of in here to keep it honest for Safi and maybe just give like a couple of the other horses a target. But yeah, she'll make it super honest. We spoke about Serona. You've got Public Defender, who's another one coming into the Safi barn for the first time. I don't have problem with her overall form, Barry. She just is going to have to get a little bit better. Like, this is a pretty competitive spot, and she's a little light on overall form in comparison.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. She has to improve a bit to win this race. Not impossible though.
No.
Just a little bit more difficult.
Make
And
sure
if you like
she
that
is
horse, you got to get your price.
exactly. I was just going to say the same thing. Make sure she's double digits if you want that, because she's going to have to step up a little bit. But she's in very nice form right now, and she lost to Proctor Street, who is also in good form. Feather Boa is a horse who was off for a long time, for over a year, came back, ran pretty well behind Aussie Girl, a couple months off. We'll see if she can kind of string a couple good efforts together here. Interesting race, the Swanee River. Anything else you want to hit on this one, buddy?
Nope, I think we got it.
Yeah, I think so. Let's move to the graded stakes races back to back to finish up the Saturday card at Gulfstream Park. This one is the grade 3 Harlan's Holiday. We can start the race with Skippy Longstocking, who's earned $3.6 million, and Skippy loves Gulfstream. Skippy is always been really good in spots like this, where it's not like a grade 1 where he does look like he's the class of the field. He wins races when he's short prices, but we're looking at him now coming off of back-to-back poor performances. I'm not bothered at all by the Whitney. That's a tough group. That group's, a little bit above him. The Charlestown race is the one that you get a little worried about, because he likes Charlestown. He's won the Classic at Charlestown in 2 prior years. So, that was a little concerning for me to see him not run well there. They gave him a few months off. Now he gets to come back and kind of start all over. He'll hope he can use this as a stepping stone to the Pegasus, where he finished 3rd last year. What do we do with Skippy?
Yeah, I think they tried to change tactics. I mean, it seems like it's getting out of desperation, because why would they go to the lead with this horse? And
he likes
they
to
tried
just kind of sit. He's not an open up on the front end kind of horse like that, really.
I mean, it feels like I've seen this horse the last 5 years at Tampa in the Challenger Stakes winning it. Ever since Most Wanted gave this horse all he can handle in that race, this horse hasn't been the same. And I also think that the distance might not be the best for Skippy either. I think Skippy might want to go longer,
where he can go a little longer and just kind of sit second, not have to go that fast, and just kind of at his own pace, a little, like, kind of lope along.
Right. And the fact that there's really not much speed in here, it puts him up against it as well. Now, the horse that does have the speed has some question marks going longer. I still think is a question mark, but should have the run of the race as a 7, Campagna. Now, if you believe that horse might be able to stub his toe as well, that puts me on the 4 Classic, of course.
Okay.
This horse, if you go back to 2024, October, November, lost to Rated by Merit twice. That is a really, really, really good racehorse.
Yep.
And from that point going forward, you can see in the past performances, this horse didn't run a bad race. I mean, they got overmatched on the turf. If you eliminate the turf in the synthetic races, this horse should be on the verge of sort of a kind of breakout. And might be able to get the trip here at a decent price. I don't think they're going to get bet, because they're more or less in a 7-horse field, the 5th best horse on paper.
Yeah, I agree. You're going to get a fair price, but he could outrun his odds, absolutely, especially if you think that Skippy may not be the same type of horse, right?
I really don't. I mean, the shoe's going to fall off eventually. I know, it seems too obvious, especially with the last race, but I still can't see Skippy dominating this field to the point where there's no way around betting this horse.
Yeah. Because
Um,
they wanted to go. They probably thought they were the best horse at Charlestown, and that trip had worked for them at Charlestown, but not overall, where he just wants to kind of sit off a little bit. I I think the 5 obviously on paper looks, if he's good on the dirt, his overall body of work is solid. Like, he's going to
but
take
you
a lot
have
of
to
money.
question it because he's a dead closer in a race that doesn't have much speed.
I
And
don't like him as much. The horse who I
I
actually
don't.
like is right next door a little bit. I think Racing Driver is kind of interesting
Sure.
in here. He's going to be a really fair price, and let's look at all of his races, just like his dirt form. So sprinting on the dirt in his first start, his first 3 or 4, he's kind of figuring it out. He's actually behind Grande in one of them. He comes back, he finishes second behind Jack's Promise. Then he breaks his maiden. He's behind Goal Oriented and Hypnus. So that's a really tough race, and that's on a sloppy racetrack. Eliminate the 2 races on the slop. Now all of a sudden you've got the maiden special weight win. You've got him winning the starter allowance on May the 26th at Churchill. You've got him finishing 4th when he stepped up to a mile and an eighth at Churchill. That was before a couple-month layoff. Comes back off the layoff, gets a little bit of class relief. He wins there. Keeneland, sloppy racetrack. Once they put him at the first level allowance group on November the 16th, I thought that was a pretty good effort from him there. He's a little light on speed figures, but he's a 3-year-old who's moving in the right direction. So if he's going to continue to improve, and all of a sudden, if he pops up with like a low to mid 90s buyer, and we think Skippy may not be putting up some of the hundreds that he has, I mean, all of a sudden, Racing Driver is right in the mix there. I think he's going to be a pretty fair price in here, too. He's the horse who I actually like the most in here, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just ripe for somebody else to
He
step
looks
up in
kind of
this
like the
spot.
4 who you like on
He
paper.
sure
Like, they're not
does.
far from, like, they kind of look similar to each other with their overall resume. They're kind of the more lightly raced horses. They're moving in the right direction. You were talking about the prices in here. I think we might have the 4th and the 5th horses.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good betting race,
Yeah.
despite what you see on paper.
Yeah.
There's question marks on the 3 horses that will probably get bet the most. I mean, there's cases you could make for Catalytic as
Sure.
well. To
Look at
turn around form.
Man, because his form was so tricky, right? He's in the top 2 in 9 of his first 10 races. And the only race he doesn't finish in the top 2 was in the Kentucky Derby. And then his last 2, you just kind of scratch your head. You can even say, okay, Parks, maybe it doesn't really fire at Parks. Then he goes over to Keeneland. He guys has a little bit of trouble, but now he's back home at Gulfstream Park where he's been at his best and never worse than second. Like, he, if you can
Removes
be
the
a little
blinkers as well, which they probably didn't seem to want in the first place.
So now could you say that you didn't want him last time and 2 starts back at Parks, he just didn't really fire? Like, yeah, I mean, that Gulfstream form is really good, and his first
nice
10,
bullet
11
on the
races
6th.
are good.
Nice
Yeah.
bullet on the 6th. I mean, this is a really tough race as far as betting is concerned. These are the type of races that would crush you in multis if you select wrong.
A lot of people will probably be leaning on Skippy or Poster, maybe those 2. Barry and I are giving you a couple other options with the 4 classic, of course, for Barry, the 6 Racing Driver for me. Barry even mentioned the 9 who could fire. I don't know. I
mean,
really
the
know what to do
one
with
I
7.
don't hold my bourbon. I just don't think they really want to go this far.
Me neither. And that's why I think the 1 and the 7 might actually
Hook
impact
up.
each other.
Sure.
And they'll try to have Skippy sit right behind them, like sit like 3rd right behind them. But I just prefer horses who might be not far behind Skippy, like the 4 and the 6, who are going to be way better prices that we were talking about. Poster will try to launch from off of it. And a lot of these horses are hoping if they run well here, that they will run in the Pegasus World Cup next month. So we'll maybe see a couple horses out of this race. And don't forget, on Friday, Tapan Street is actually going to run on the Friday card at Gulfstream Park. If he runs well there, then we'll probably see him show up next month as one of the top players. Barry, as I turn the page to the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale, talk to us about the Notorious OTB, Horse Racing Happy Hour, anything that you've had going this week, and where we could find you in some of your work.
Yeah, definitely with the Notorious OTB, we have Oaklawn Saturday card. We did $100 budget. You want to check that out. No SoCal Saturday this week as we're waiting for Santa Anita's opening day on the 26th. So
Oh,
that should
yeah.
be fun.
I'll be out there live on the 26th at Santa
There you go.
Anita.
Yeah, that should be always a great card. I mean, that card in particular is one that I love playing. Because everybody's off, and it's just a nice time right around Christmas. You can get all that Christmas money back
Oh,
that you
yeah.
spent.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always a good card on a great day. So I can't wait for that to come up. But a lot of stuff in the new year too.
So we will try to finish things up here with the Fort Lauderdale, the Grade 3 Fort Lauderdale. One of my buddies, and there were a few times when last year I was playing Gino. It was the optional race when he lost to Abramar. Then right after in the Colonel Liam, I think the particularly
Tough
the one
luck.
that was the Transylvania was the one that hurt me bad because it was after both the back-to-back beats, and then I really backed him in the Transylvania. It was funny because just the way that his name is, it's like see you Gino.
Yeah.
It's like he's telling me, see you, Gino. Like right when he was, and it's funny. There's like a line in The Secret Life of Pets where the fish is named Gino, and Milo's been watching that movie a lot lately. And he goes, they walk by and they go, see you later, Gino. And so like Milo says that to me all the time. He thinks it's so funny. He'll be like, see you later, Gino. I'm like, hey, I'm not the fish from Pets. I'm not that fish. But it's funny. So I was showing him, I was like, look, this is basically like, see you, Gino here. But definitely a horse to start with because he's really honest. You can look at his form overall. He's raced 13 times. He's been in the exacta in 10 of them. And there are 3 times that he didn't. One of them, he finished 4th. The other one was in the Nashville Derby where he just went too far, a mile and 5/16. And the other was in the 4-star Dave. He's not really a grade 1 caliber horse yet. He hasn't showed us that yet. Could he be next year? Sure. He's moving in the right direction. This kind of feels like a Shug horse too, that he kind of takes his time with, that maybe gets a little bit better as he gets older and kind of puts it all together. So he's obviously a major player in here, Barry. And then the 2, Wolfie's Dynaghost, for a while, he was really more of a synthetic horse.
I still think he is.
Yeah. And you kind of know like what you're going to get from him. He's going to go to the lead, but yeah, I don't want to knock what he's done recently on the turf, but I agree with you. I do think, and the speed figures, he's a little better on the synthetic. So I'm kind of want to see him sort of prove it here at this level, but he's grade 3 winner last time out. He's won back-to-back races going long on the grass. Talk to us about like these 2 and then any others in here that you're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, Wolfie's Dynaghost is going to have a little bit of a pace advantage, but I don't think it's enough to merit, just selecting this horse and moving on. I think the 3 might have a shot, Chasing the Crown.
Sure.
If you look at this horse's races last year around this time, so it's August 29th, 2024, right?
Yep.
They ran a pretty decent race at Kentucky Downs. Now, after that, they ran at Keeneland October 10th, 2024, and threw in a clunker, then ran at Churchill November 7th and won. It seems like they cut that October race out this year. They ran on August 31st and then August 8th at Churchill. And it seems like the same kind of pattern. And I think this horse is going to run pretty good on Saturday. It's just a matter of what kind of trip they're going to get. They've been hung out wide a little bit, so I think they were coming from farther off the pace than they really would want to.
And then the last time he got kind of hung, he was kind of behind horses, and nobody went with Wolfie's Dynaghost at all.
Right. And Taking Candy was it was sort of like a merry-go-round race in a way.
He can win this race. He was awesome in the Pegasus last year. I think he's
a huge number.
If you're just using the short prices in here, like I think he can win this race too. I agree with you.
Then you see the workout December 6th and December 13th, the bullet going into this. I think this horse is coming in the right way.
So Barry takes a look at the 3, Chasing the Crown. The 5, it's another horse worth mentioning, Beach Gold. Patrick Bean Cohen's had him in really good form. Shout out to Andy. I believe Andy just got engaged recently.
Oh yeah,
Andy
I saw
Bean
the
Cohen.
pictures. Nice.
Yeah, so I had the privilege of talking with Andy as one of our first interviews on Off the Track. She's like one of those people. I've talked to her only like 2 or 3 times, but when you talk with her, you're just like good energy. You're smiling.
Yes,
she loves horse racing. She's just in a good mood talking about the horses, and you feel it when you're talking to her. You know, you're like excited to talk with her about her dad's horses and her journey and all these different things in her life. So shout out to her. Patrick Bean Cohen has Beach Gold in good form. I mean, this horse won the preview at Ellis, came back and ran really well in the Mint Mile. And then in the Turf Mile was just in a little bit too tough last time out. So certainly a horse at least worth mentioning. And then I wanted to mention one other. Oh, we got to talk about Major Dude. You know, what do we do with him?
That's our guy,
like it, right? Because
I mean, he dials up some performances that are really, really good. It's just he's just not consistent, and it's hard to tell when he's going to show up.
Which is funny because he used to be.
He likes Gulfstream pretty much a lot. I think he likes.
I know. From June of 2024 till last year in the Canadian, he was about as consistent as there was. I mean, he was firing 96, 97, 95, 97, 97, 97, almost the same type of speed figure every race. And then I remember it just kind of feeling a little bit weird after the Canadian when he was running so well, because he won this race last year. And when he was in such good form, he went into Appleton, which kind of seemed like it was a really soft spot for him, not going in graded stakes races off of having won the Fort Lauderdale and then having finished second in the Canadian Turf. And that was almost a sign to me that maybe he like wasn't in as good of form, because since then, look at his next 6 races. How different from the last 6 races before that, where he was so consistent. And now, like you're saying, I mean, he can run a race like he did in the United Nations a couple starts back, where he actually runs a career best 98 buyer. He finishes 3rd that day. People had kind of discounted him because he had thrown in a few disappointing efforts and he was 13-1. But
he's the kind of horse that you can't sleep on, because if his price gets high,
that's the key.
You know,
I don't want to take him at a short price, but man, if he's like above 7-2, which he was probably going to be in this spot, and you're looking at him like, dang, that's double the price. If he's like 4-1, you're like, that's twice the price he was last year in this race when he beat Fort Washington, who would be really tough in a spot like this, right? If we're just comparing. So yeah, for me, price will dictate it. He's a hard horse to leave out of a pick 4 or pick 5 closing. That's right.
Absolutely.
That's probably the best way of putting it.
Good way to put it.
Like he's probably your 3rd or 4th selection here, but the way you're setting your multis up, like, man, if I'm checking the will pays and I'm alive, and I don't have him, I'd be like, that's where you get a text for me, like, oh, dude, anybody but the 8. I forgot Major Dude, or like, however it's happening, he's the one I left off, and then you know what's happening then. Major Dude just comes rolling. We'll see what price he is to close out a really fun Saturday card. I mean, we went all the way from races 5 through 11 here. They end with back-to-back graded stakes races. Don't forget everything you need at Gulfstream Park, the Gulfstream Park shop at shop.drf.com. And then you've got those contests. Friday, can you try to win a spot into the Saturday contest? It's all about qualifying for the PWCBC, and you can try to win a spot in that on Saturday. There are $1,000 to enter, or you can qualify in the $100 feeders right there. Barry, my friend, you and I will talk again before the holiday, but not sure exactly what the schedule will be like. Not sure what, shows we'll have out or not next week. So if we don't have anything out there, definitely a Merry Christmas to you, and a big Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone tuning in. Thank you for always watching these videos. Appreciate you supporting us and supporting Daily Racing Form and First Bet and First Racing with the contests. Hope you and your family have a good one, my friend.
Thank you, man. Same as well, man. Have a nice holiday on the West Coast, and we'll be doing it up big here in Florida.
And if you're at Santa Anita on December 26th, day after, I will be there. You'll probably see me popping back and forth between the paddock, getting some videos, and then over by the winner's circle, getting some shots of the winners of the races after each of the big stakes. And then next month, should be heading out to Florida at Gulfstream Park for the Pegasus. So that should be fun. Yes, thanks again, Barry, and Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you. We'll say goodbye, and we'll say hello to Joey Cleveland.